Good afternoon. Just waiting for everyone to join. I'm Rachel Keegan, the Director of Enrollment at School Year Abroad. And you are all now participating in the SYA Italy admissions webinar this afternoon or this evening, depending on where you're at. We just want to welcome you. We've got a great group of guests here this afternoon and a great program planned for you. We're going to share a video with you in a minute, but I did want to introduce our participants who are going to share some of the great stories of what's going on in SYA Italy this year. And then we will, we've got a couple of current students and their parents, and then we will have time at the end for questions and answers. So I want to encourage everyone to go ahead and put your questions in the chat box. Some of those, if they're quick questions, we'll answer them right there, but we will save the sort of audio part of answering questions for the last 10 to 15 minutes of this interview. It's 9 o'clock over in Italy, and we have several participants in Italy. It's late, so we will be wrapping this up within the hour so that they can do what they need to do. But we are again, really pleased that everyone's able to make it here this afternoon. So I want to just introduce our guests before we turn to the video. And we have Helen Melito here. She's a current junior student. Hi, Helen, from Episcopal High School in DC. And we've got Lucas Caggiano here, who is a junior from Milton Academy. And both of his parents, Alan and Jen, are here as well. And thank you both for making the time. And finally, we have our resident director in Italy, Pat Scanlon, who is going to conduct the conversation with our guests. So I'm going to pass it up to the video, and then Pat will take it away. So Aaron, if you could show us the video.
One of the first days we were here, we just did like a walk around Viterbo and just being like absolutely floored by all the history.
To me, SYA is basically an adventure. You are exploring yourself as a person and the world at the same time. Everything is new. You learn so much more about a place living there than just visiting as a tourist, and connecting with the people has been so amazing.
It really helps you to step back and take a look at yourself and at the world around you and how you fit in. My Italian skills have improved immensely. I spoke zero Italian when I came here. Miss Nuccio and Miss Tutsi, they're both the Italian teachers. It's such a fun experience, and I just love them and I love their class.
I just think the language is so beautiful. And I mean, Italy is so beautiful. I love it. You don't just stay in the classroom. It's very independent, but there's so much support. It's an amazing experience.
Everybody here is so nice and so welcoming, and they really just want you to learn.
In art history, basically, we learn about different time periods of art.
Recently, we were learning about Baroque art and the significance of that to the general society. So we went to Rome, as we typically do on Wednesdays, to see some real-life examples of that. You learn not just the characteristics of Baroque art, but also how it relates to the church and what was wanted at the time. We sort of presented some sort of theatrical representation of the Baroque things we were seeing.
Agroecology is a science class. It's very experiential.
It's really fun. I think it's very learning through doing and learning about Italian culture through the food. I'm doing 3 extracurriculars at the moment.
There's cultural things like cooking, there's art, there's sports.
I did a lot of theater back in the United States, and I'm doing the theater class here now. The theater class has really been helpful for everything.
Theater I've done all year. I recently started pottery.
I also do Pilates, and that's something that I do with my friends here.
I enjoy learning new things. I enjoy immersing myself in a new culture. It has made me feel happier.
I don't know, my host family is, they're very sweet people, and they care about me a lot. We also like cook together, which I think is very fun.
Your host family is amazing.
You can really go away without having a whole new family.
I absolutely know that I'm going to keep in touch with them because they're very special people to me.
You know, I'm pretty happy with where I am at this point in the experience.
I realized that there's so many bigger things I could be a part of. It's kind of just opened up my view of the world.
Thanks, Aaron. Pat? Oops, you're muted, Mr. Scanlon. Mr. Scanlon? Oh, geez. I think you might be. Is everyone muted? No, you guys are all good. All right. Well, Helen, are you good? Okay, good. I'm going to try one more time. Mr. Scanlon? Okay, looks like he is not able to participate at this time. So at least you got to hear him, and hopefully he'll be back and join us in a few minutes. But in the meantime, I will, he'll probably like log out and log back in again. I will start the conversation. So we have Lucas and Helen here, and I won't be able to speak to you in Italian like Mr. Scanlon can, but you can still speak in Italian. So I would like you each to introduce yourselves in Italian, let us know where you're from, and maybe talk, just share a sentence or two about, where you're living in Viterbo so folks can hear your language. Lucas, you want to go first?
Sure. Buonasera, buongiorno. Sono Lucas, vengo da Boston, Massachusetts. Vivo in Santa Barbara, e una loco vicino a Viterbo.
Thanks. Helen?
Ciao, sono Helen, ho 16 anni, vengo da Washington, D.C. Sì.
Can you all hear me now?
We can, you're back. I just had them
Okay.
introduce themselves in Italian. It's all yours.
Thank you very much. Hanno fatto molto bene. So I'd like to, Helen and Lucas and their Lucas's parents to just enter the conversation when it seems natural. But to begin by saying that our curriculum comes from the fact that we are the first word in our name, school year abroad. And the way we make our experiential program work is by dividing it into what are core classes and fieldwork classes. I tell people sometimes that SYA exists because its original formula in 1964 was to have a teacher from one of our sending schools, one of our charter schools, brought an English and math teacher with them so that our students would have a very parallel experience to the college prep curriculum that our families expect of us. So every student will take 6 courses. 4 of them are traditionally English and math taught by teachers from the United States from our sending schools who know the needs of our students, and 2 courses in Italian, one called Italian language and one called experiential. And then the other 2 courses are filled up by electives. And I think the best way to understand this would be maybe to start with Helen to talk about your schedule, the courses you take, and tell us your experience in the core classes and your experience. Let's just do that, and then I'll have Lucas do his experience in the core classes, and then we'll talk about fieldwork. But let's start with core. What's your experience there, Helen?
Hi. So the classes that I take, so there's the generic English, Italian classes that Mr. Scanlon talked about. I also take AB Calc, and the way that math is set up here is it's completely online, but we have a math teacher, Dr. Turner, on site to help us if we have any questions. And it's also somewhat self-paced. We still have due dates for math assignments and tests, but we can do it on our own time. And I also take agroecology, which you saw in the video, and local global perspective. So that's more of a social studies type course. And I love every single class that I take and every single teacher that teaches them. I love the size of every class that I'm in. There's about, I think, maybe 12-ish students in my class, and I get to have a very personal relationship with every teacher that I have. And even the core classes, I think one of the concerns that a lot of parents have, especially for kids coming from schools that have very advanced classes, and how that will look in terms of your a college application, is with taking classes like this, what that means for you. So for me, I love my English class, and I feel like it's just as challenging as my homeschool. Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. My host dog just like came up to my room. But I'd say that a lot of the classes are just as challenging as they're at the homeschool. So the rigor is still there. And then I mean, yeah, if Lucas wants to talk some more about it.
Yeah, I think Helen did.
Thank you, Lucas.
Yeah, I think Helen did a great job there, kind of describing everything. I'd say uh, the teachers here are superb. They're equal par with every teacher in America. They're some of the greatest teachers I've had personally. I really enjoy every class. My math class, English class especially, are great. I would not be concerned whatsoever about like the level of academics. It is absolutely equivalent or better than the academics you're going to find in America. And additionally, there are small class sizes, so 12 people, as Helen said. So you really do get a lot of one-on-one focus with the teachers, and I think that's something that's immensely helpful.
Well, Lucas, while I've got you there, zero in on how field work works and how.
Um,
Sorry, here's looks like he's frozen again. So I'll finish the question, Lucas. Zero in on sort of how fieldwork works and how it works in relation to your experiential Italian class and what that's like in the schedule of a week. And maybe give one example of a cool fieldwork that you've done recently.
Sure. So we have, I think, 3 experiential classes a week, an hour each. And you learn the experiential class is all about Italian culture. Mostly at the start, it's questions about the host family, like what's going on. And then you kind of learn what you need to know to survive in Italy, like how to take the bus, how to take a train to Rome, how to order food, all the important things. And then the great part, every Wednesday, it's time for field work. And so that entails going out into Viterbo or into Italy. Usually, we've been going to Rome recently to like put what you've learned to the test. And you're given assignments for your different classes, specifically your electives. So I take Greek and I take local global perspectives. So I'll have some assignment in Rome related to one of or both of the classes that I have to complete, which always involves me talking to locals, learning things, speaking Italian. So the idea is you're kind of taught in a class how to survive, and then you go out and actually survive. And they perfectly equip you. You're never like in the dark at all. And it's a great opportunity to like grow and learn as an Italian.
To add on
So
to
I'm having
what
some connectivity issues. Thanks, Helen. So in case I drop out, Rachel is going to take over for me, but I'll
Yeah,
keep
we'll
coming
just
back.
bounce back and forth.
Helen,
Mr.
sorry.
Scanlon. It's
to
fine.
to add on
Okay.
to what Lucas was
Thank
saying
you.
about the experiential experience, that's kind of one of what you're paying for with this experience, and the entire reason why I came to Italy for years, to have just a year's worth of field works. And I love it because it's already built into the schedule, and every day is planned with a specific purpose, and with specific assignments for every class. So there's a lot of thought that goes into every day that we have. And although in America I knew how to use like public transportation, and I was pretty independent in America, this is a whole other level. And I've loved how a lot of the fieldworks are set up, where we still have the freedom to choose like where we want to eat, and some hours sometimes we can even choose where to spend an entire afternoon after we've already done the assigned work. And so it's just a great way to kind of choose what to do in a foreign city. And it's been so amazing. Like I can't fully express just how amazing it is. And one of my favorite field works that I've done that like immediately jumps to mind was when we were actually on a school trip in Florence. We took a day trip, my friends and I, to Siena. Um, and it was amazing. It was beautiful, and we just got to go all over the city and explore. And we had, like Lucas talked about, assignments for my class for agroecology, where we had to try the local food and ask the people, like the chef at the restaurant, what local products were in the food. And it's just a great way to get to know the cities that we visit and the places that we go.
Could I ask Jennifer or Alan if they want to add anything here?
I'm happy to share. Go ahead,
Please.
Jen. Yeah, so
I'm sorry.
I mean,
I'll
honestly,
just,
go ahead.
oh my gosh. Um, we just got back from 2 weeks in Italy, we have both of our sons, our older sons there together. And all I can say is they have learned a lot of Italian. They were able to make us feel very comfortable in any type of, situation where language skills were important. And they both have grown considerably, really, as people, I would have to say. And we're just very happy with the decision we made.
Yeah, and I think going back to the field work as well, I think that's really helped them sort of find themselves and become a little bit more or a lot more independent. I know that they have group classes that they go with, but what made me honestly worried when I first started learning about SYA and what we're doing is, my sons are in high school, and I was a little concerned about them just hopping on a train and taking a trip to Rome or, any other place that they wanted to go. I wasn't sure what that involved, but it worried me as a parent. But now in hindsight, I really have no worries. Both of my boys making trips pretty regularly. And just knowing what I know now with the infrastructure that the school has and how involved their parents are, and Life 360 as well. That's been really great to follow them around Italy, electronically as well. All of my concerns have been allayed. And it is really amazing to see how they interact with the locals and how they're able to speak the language and basically handle that. We have our personal tour guides when we go to Italy, basically. It's been great.
Alan, could you clarify what you mean by both of your boys?
Sure. So we have Lucas there. He's a junior, and his younger brother Hunter, who is a sophomore, is there with him together. They live in separate host families, and they're having different experiences. They do have each other, but we have them both attending SYA this year.
And we are very happy to have them. So back to Helen and Lucas, thank you. We want to talk about life outside of school, and there have been some questions about host families and extracurriculars. Start with a concrete, Helen, and tell us what you did after school today. Expand to what you do after school most days, or if it changes, and maybe even pick a couple examples of your friends and what they do.
Yeah, so today I went to soccer practice from 4:30 to around 6:30-ish, and I just walked there from the school. And I play club soccer here with the local club Viterbese, and it's an all boys team of 09s. I'm 08, but it's with 09s, and I play 3 practices a week: Monday, Tuesday, Thursday. And then they have games on the weekend, but I'm not allowed to play with them because I'm not an Italian citizen. And it's been a very eye-opening experience, that's for sure. And I knew coming here, though, that I wanted to play soccer. That was kind of non-negotiable for me. And of course, Italy is known for its soccer, so I knew I'd be, wherever I went, there'd be good soccer players there. I just wasn't aware that it would be really only boys, but that's what you get. And it's honestly been an amazing part of my experience, because it's like been how I've able to interact with Italians almost not daily, but multiple times a week. I've been able to have interactions and conversations and learn the slang with the teenagers, and have really great relationships with the boys, and then also with my coaches and even another host parent, Tito's host dad. He's the manager of the team. So it's been a great way to build relationships. And it's been really nice to have that to go to during the week. And then I also tutor. So I help tutor at the local school, Ruffini. And I'm doing 2 different group sessions. So I work with younger kids, and so the teacher will just tell me and 2 other SYA students that go what to help them with in their assignments that day. And that's just another way, a great way to interact with younger kids here. And then I also do Pilates. So actually, this SYA just posted this photo of Pilates. So my friends and I, we all do a group Pilates session, and we love our instructor. She's amazing. I know Mr. Scanlon has also done it, and so a lot of the teachers do it. It's a great place to go. And then some of my friends, I know some of my friends have done ceramics for one, which the thing is, the extracurriculars, there are so many options and they're all amazing that I think the hardest decision is just choosing which ones to do. Because again, as Dave says, you do not have endless amount of time. You have to really be critical and choose what you want to do in your time here, but whatever you end up choosing to do will be amazing. So yeah.
Lucas.
Yeah, so I was very fortunate. I'm a wrestler in America, and I was worried about coming to Italy and being able to continue wrestling. But through working with the extracurricular coordinator, Dave, he actually went like above and beyond. He found me an amazing coach. So 2 days a week, I head over to Turney. It's about an hour away. My wonderful host father, Stefano, so kindly drives me. And I wrestle with Jonathan Malfino, who's currently number 1 in the world for veterans Greco-Roman wrestling. So he's an absolute beast. I'm very fortunate. And there's wonderful kids and adults there that I train with as well. On top of that, I work out. There's plenty of gyms in Viterbo. And then also I tutor once a week with some kids around my age at a local high school, and I participate in a program that it's just a group of us Americans talking with a group of Italians who live locally. As
And
for, oh, sorry.
you mentioned your host dad, but I didn't want to cut you off. Keep going. I'm sorry.
Oh, sure. So as for my friends, Hunter, my brother, he's currently doing like a fashion design class with an actual, like, I guess, fashionista. I don't know, if that's the correct term, but so he was able to choose to do that. He specifically requested, and he and his friends figured out with Dave how they could actually make it happen. So I'd say if you're worried about your extracurriculars being compromised when you come to Italy, that's also not a problem at all. The team here does an amazing job working with the students, trying to figure out what they want to do and trying to make it work.
We have our limits though. Rowing, for instance, there's not a body of water close enough for something like that. In the case where we really can't do something, you should know that ahead of time with questions to the admissions office, and if they can't answer, if that is really not available, they'll pass it on to Dave and he can let them know. But I think the testimonials are that if there's anything close by or near to it, we can find it. We do encourage students to do new things that they haven't tried before, like the ceramics class or cooking that Helen mentioned. But Lucas, you mentioned your host dad. Tell us a little bit about your host family and what life is like there, weekends and things like that. And then I'll ask Helen the same thing.
Sure. So it was actually a big change besides the whole cultural difference. I have 3 siblings back in America, and then I come here and I live with my host mother, Anarita, and my father, Stefano. They have a kid who's out of the house. So I went from being one of 4 to effectively an only child. But they are absolutely amazing. The school did a wonderful job placing me with a family that I'd say perfectly suits me. The dinners here are amazing, like the famous Italian dinners. They live up to expectations. And I have a lot of fun at night, just hanging out with my family. You really do start to feel at home here after enough time, after a couple weeks even. So you're not gonna like be cast away to some like desolate place. You're gonna find a family here, and they're gonna love you and support you just like your family back home will.
And quickly, when you introduced yourself, you said you live in Santa Barbara, which sounds maybe like California. Say a little bit more about where you are and how you get to school.
Yeah, sure. So I live, it's like a community outside of Viterbo. It's about a half-hour walk away. I like to walk. There are buses. The bus ride's about 20 minutes. You can take it in the morning. It's a cool little place. There's cafes and shops right around. There's a little fruit market that I like to go to. So yeah, it's not very far at all. Most of the host families are like definitely within walking distance. If not, there's a quick bus you can take.
Grazie. Helen?
Hi, so my host family, I don't even know where to begin. I have, it's just been an amazing experience, even from like the first day. I love them so, so much, and I am like beyond blessed to be with them. And I really think the school and Eleanor did an amazing job. She works very personally. She has a very great relationship with every single host family, and she works personally with the host families and with our form. So you'll, after you get accepted into the program, then you'll fill out a host family form where you can put all of your different preferences and what you're looking for. And I said I was looking for younger siblings, and that's exactly what I got. I have 3 younger siblings. Let me see if I can get their ages right. One's about to turn 14, one's 12, and one's 10, I'm pretty sure. And it's been an amazing experience. I have 3 siblings back home, so it's a very similar vibe. And so even though I'm not at home, I still feel very much at home here. And from day one, the family just accepted me and embraced me. Even before I came, actually, they like reached out to me over the summer. And one thing about Italians is they are very loving and very affectionate. And that has been just amazing to always have that, even though there's sometimes a language barrier. You still feel like I still feel very much loved by them. And yeah, it's been
But
amazing.
when you first came on, Helen, you mentioned that your host dog had come in the room. I've never heard the term.
Oh my
But
gosh.
could you tell
Yes.
us about the host dog, please?
Yes, I have my host family has 2 dogs, Nina and Poppy. One's really big and then one's really small, but they're both 4 years old. And I had never before this lived in a home with pets because my mom is not a dog or a cat person at all. But it's been amazing here because I think also a lot of host families have pets. Like a lot of them have dogs or cats, and they're like comfort animals. So if I'm ever feeling homesick, like I swear Nina or Poppy can just tell, and they like it's just amazing to have them there and to hug them.
Oh,
And when my
I,
siblings and when my
thank you.
real family, the other cool thing was when my host family met my real family. So my family came over during Christmas and we spent a week in Rome, and then they came to Viterbo and everyone met each other, and it's just so I don't even it's like so amazing to just see your 2 families meet. And my siblings loved the dogs here, and they still ask me about them. They're like, "How's Nina? How's Poppy?"
Jennifer, were you guys able to meet Anna Rita and Stefano when you were here?
We were actually, Alan had gone like the day they said not to visit until November. So November 1st, Alan hopped on a plane to go see the boys, and him and Hunter's host father have become very close. They're very friendly, and honestly, I was shocked at how you could sit down with a group of people who don't speak the same language and you can somehow communicate. It's really amazing. But we have met both of the families, and we really have been very happy with them.
That is so wonderful. I know that many of our host families also have that as an objective. They like getting to know the whole family. And it is very, very gratifying to them when that is all in sync and that you have very similar objectives with the same child. That's really a wonderful thing for us as a school to watch from the outside in. I appreciate that. I'd like the kids, the students, to talk a little bit about then time in town and weekends. What's the town like? How you spend your time when you're not necessarily working on your assignments or being with host family. So, Lucas, we'll start with you. Like, what you said you go. We know you go to wrestling in Terni. It's a rare situation to do that, but you do spend quite a bit of time in Viterbo as well. So both in your neighborhood and in town. What would you like to share with us?
Yeah, so in my free time, there's a lot of things just within walking distance. The nice thing about Italy is you can walk anywhere and you'll find like the most beautiful scene that you've ever seen in your life. So I spend a good amount of time just walking around Viterbo and kind of checking out the different streets. But I meet up with my friends very frequently. Italy is littered with cafes, and you can go in there, spend $1 and get a cappuccino and just sit down and hang out. So we do that quite a bit. It's a lot of fun. And then obviously within Viterbo, it's a very old place. It's a medieval town with some beautiful castles and wonderful churches. So it's just amazing to walk around and appreciate it. I have a friend who's a photographer, so we spend some time walking around trying to get good pictures. It's a lot of fun.
Helen?
So I wish I could say like a specific thing, but really every weekend's different, because sometimes there's events happening in Viterbo, and also just for me it really just revolves around what my host family is doing. So if my Oh, and my host family is also very social. They go out a lot. Some weekends they might go spend time with their cousins, which one of them is actually over right now. And they all happen to be the same age as my host siblings. So there's like another version of them. And when they're all together, it's crazy. So sometimes I'll go with them, and other times I'll go out with my friends. And I recently did a day trip to Rome with my friends, which was amazing. Because though Viterbo is nice with its stores and everything, we did crave some Starbucks and want to go to Sephora. So we did some shopping, and then we also got to see the Vatican with the door that was recently opened by the Pope. And before all the pilgrims go there, which is nice. And yeah, so the weekends I really like it, chill weekends here in Viterbo. But then obviously there will be some weekends where I'm traveling with my friends, either day travel or overnight travel.
Say a little bit more about that and how it works. We have a sort of phased rollout process for it. And anyway, you've done it. So what's involved in doing either day travel or overnight travel?
So with the day travel, it's a lot easier to just plan in general, and then also to get it approved. And I think a lot of people mostly just travel to Rome or nearby towns. And then with the independent travel, first semester, I think there was only one opportunity, which I actually loved. And I loved that by that point, I was definitely felt prepared and ready and excited to be able to go on my own with my friends. But I don't think I would have been ready even just a couple weeks earlier. And I went with my friends. We spent the day in Bologna, and we had some amazing bolognese. And then we spent the night in Florence, and then the next day in Florence. And that was during Christmas time. So we got to go around the Christmas market there, and it was fun. And then recently I plan with my friend Alice. We're going to go to Milan, and because we don't have school on that Friday, we get to go for 2 nights. So we're going to go for Friday and for Saturday night. And I love independent travel. I think this semester we have 3 or 4 opportunities, and 2 of those times are a little bit longer because we have spring break and Easter break. I love it because that's where I can feel like a little adultish and be able to play with my friends. And when we went to Florence, we had already been there, so it was nice to go to a city that we were already familiar with. And I just love, I don't know, I just love the opportunity. And to just have that responsibility. And even though it is scary to travel alone, it is also so fun. And my host family has been so much help with planning it and doing the transportation and the hotel and all of that. Yeah.
Thank you so much. Rachel, I would like to turn it back over to you. If
Yeah. Great, thank you. Yeah, we have quite a few questions in the queue, so I'm going to start with some of them and then ask our guests to help us answer them. But one of the questions, and you discussed it just a little bit, Helen, but was our independent travel program, and one family's, what if there's and visiting and family visiting as well. And you've heard from the Caggianos that they did come over at the holidays. Many families are able to, but many families aren't. And those students will stay with their host families, and they are an extended member of that family. They're involved in all the holiday celebrations. So if families aren't able to come over on the holidays, your child has a wonderful home to celebrate the holidays at. But in general, the independent travel program is an earned privilege. Not every student's able to do it, and it is phased in, as they referenced. Your Italian needs to be nice and strong, and so that the team there in Viterbo feels confident that you can travel, and you travel in small groups. It's not large groups, and it's never on your own as well. And your itinerary must be approved by the team in Italy and your American family and your Italian host family, so everyone knows where you're going to be on that trip. So that's the independent travel trip. I don't know, Mr. Scanlon, if you wanted to add anything to that.
Oh, you did a great job. I mean, that's exactly how it works in the most general ways that we could speak about tonight. We describe it in detail to students on site when they get here. And like the students mentioned that it works hand in glove with the experiential program so that they learn the skills they need. And once they've got their navigational skills, and those can be transferred all over, we don't worry about navigational skills anymore in the class. Then we start working on much more deep cultural competencies, because navigational skills are just the part of the beginning. So I think you covered it very, very well.
Thanks. It's actually very much part of the educational experience of being away for the year. Another question we had, and I'm hoping Lucas and Helen can help us answer this. You did a great job talking about the courses that you're taking, and as well as the extracurriculars that you do outside of the school day. But there have been a couple of questions just about what a daily schedule is like. And if you could touch very lightly on sort of, when you get up, when school starts, what you do for lunch, when the class day ends, a little bit when you're back with your host family for dinner, and talk about the times of that would be great. Lucas?
Yeah, sure. So I get up around 6 a.m. I could probably get away with 6:30 if I really wanted to, though. Basically, get up, get ready. My host mother's usually awake, so sometimes there's a breakfast waiting for me. Otherwise, I'll just make a coffee and go. And then I hop on a bus. School starts at 8:10, so I'm in the school. Doors open at 7:50. So usually for those 20 minutes, I'm in the school. I'm hanging out with my friends. And then during the day, I'd say you have on average 4 classes. You have some free periods sprinkled in there. And then there's a little break in the morning. It's just enough time to run to a cafe and get a cappuccino. So a lot of us do that. So yeah, 4 classes on average. And then so you get out at varying times. Sometimes I get out a little bit earlier, sometimes a little bit later. And then obviously Wednesdays it's a little different because we have field work. But we have English and math every day. Experiential Italian, which is like the how to survive class, we have 3 times a week. And then normal Italian, the language, I'm pretty sure we have 4 times a week. So,
Yep.
Yeah.
And yeah, and while you mentioned it, what do you tend to do during your free blocks in the day?
So I'm very busy after school because of the wrestling and the lifting. So usually during my free blocks, I'll be studying and getting my homework done. There is ample amount of time to finish your homework. by the end of the day, so that you can really, because like the focus is going home and being with your family, or going to an
Right.
extracurricular and experiencing
We,
people.
so we've designed our schedule to work exactly like that for that purpose. Helen, how about you?
So my schedule is actually the exact same as Lucas's because we're in the same like switching group. I get up at 7:30 though. So what time you get up kind of just depends on what host family you have. And thankfully my host family lives like I would say like a 5-minute drive out of the city and like a 15-minute walk. And today I actually didn't have my first period, so I slept in. But then I was running a little late, so I actually sprinted to school and made it on time, no late. But I will say the other thing that I think does shock a lot of people is the late policy. So at my old school, I could get away with being late a lot of times, and I had a really, really, really bad habit of being late to class and getting tardies. And that is definitely something I've had to deal with here this year, because if you are late enough times, or if you miss class or are late, it can be bad, because if like let's say you're late to a train when or late to the bus and we're going with our entire school to a different city, that's very bad. So I've definitely had to deal with my bad habits here, and I've definitely improved a lot with that, and have become a lot more responsible in that area. And then as for my classes, I'm very the same with Lucas. During my free periods, I try to be as productive as possible. So sometimes it can get a little rowdy in our salone in the main area because there's just a lot of people working there. So sometimes I'll go to a cafe and work there as well. And then as for lunch, we also have La Mensa, which is essentially just a cafeteria that is free for students to go to every day. So I just mostly go there, which is great. And then sometimes I'll treat myself to some pizza or a poke bowl.
Great. Thank you, guys. So another couple of questions that have come up in the chat are the sort of host family placement process. And both of you have shared wonderful examples of some pretty special relationships. And I too have never heard the host dog term, and that's great. And you have 2 of them. But I do know lots of families have dogs, and you're right, they can be wonderful comfort animals. But the process for making these what were great matches for both Helen and Lucas is not, it doesn't just magically happen. There's a lot of thought that goes into it. So after a student is accepted and decides to enroll, they fill out a questionnaire. Parents will fill out their own questionnaire. Usually the information matches, sometimes it doesn't, in terms of habits of what students are like and the kinds of your wishes for what you would like in a host family. We definitely take that into account. We can't always grant all of those wishes, but we do want to know. Sometimes people are afraid of dogs and don't want a dog, or have an allergy, have an eating requirement, or things like that. So we look at all of those pieces. We have a person on staff who Helen referred to, Eleonora. She is the host family guru, and she works extremely closely with these families and becomes very familiar with all of the students, and in collaboration with the resident director and other staff at the school, the matches are made. And it happens all at once. It's a bit of a pretty big puzzle, and a lot of thought and care goes into it. And that person, the host family coordinator, is in touch with these host families on a regular basis. They are given guidelines. There are curfews. There are, they receive regular communication from Eleonora about the students and what's going on in the school. If their students are going to be back late because they have a longer field work or school travel and all of that. And host families have a regular resource to connect back with the school, and they also connect with each other. And we have lots of events at the school that involve the host families, from the very first day of the matching process through lunches and receptions throughout the year, because the host families are very, very excited to participate in the school year abroad community. And there's also opportunities for, as you heard, the Caggianos, but US families, when they come to visit, to have an opportunity to connect with host families too. So that's the I don't know if you want to add anything, Mr. Scanlon, to that host family vetting. They are given background checks as well. There was a question about vetting process. There's a background check done on these host families. Every student has their own bedroom. And it's a very, very careful and thoughtful process.
Yeah, I guess I would just add we're in contact with them throughout the year. We visit them. We visit each family throughout the year. We ask them to notify us of any changes, and we give them a list of the kinds of changes. Did a grandparent move in? Anyone over 18 in that family is required to provide us with a criminal background check. Or if someone turns 18, provides us with a criminal background check. I think that covers everything. I saw one. I just wanted to depart because I saw one really interesting question about with the students or anybody recommend what kind of student would not thrive here. And I would because I've thought a lot about that, and it would simply be someone who lacks curiosity, someone who lacks goodwill, someone who isn't kind. That would be someone that would not thrive here. But if you meet our admissions requirements, and you would be very, very welcome here. And we like to tell ourselves that we created an inclusive community. And I'm very proud of these students and what they can accomplish among themselves and among each other.
That's great. Thanks. Mr. Allen, yeah.
Yeah, hi. I'll just add to this. I went to Italy in November for 5 days and then for a couple of weeks in December as well. And by the time I got there in November, most of my concerns about the host families and the oversight that my boys were getting were mostly alleviated by then. But when I met the host families in November, any sort of residual concern that I had immediately went away. I realized that they're real parents and they take their job very, very seriously. And I know that they're paying attention to what's going on. And they were even told me some of the gossip that I was surprised that they knew, but I heard through my boys as well. So they seem to be very involved. And, after that first meeting in November, like Jen said, I actually became pretty friendly with one of the fathers. And they, when we were there, went really out of their way to make sure we felt comfortable. It was so much they went out of their way that we felt uncomfortable, like we were putting them out. But one of the families traveled to multiple cities with us and showed us around, and there were tour guides. And so I couldn't speak more highly, and I know I speak for my wife as well, that the way that the host families were paired with our kids as well was pretty remarkable, better than we thought could be. Both Lucas and Hunter, my two boys, have opposite personalities in a lot of ways, and they have host families that are very different from each other as well, but they're perfect for our boys. We're really impressed with the quality of people that they were placed with.
That's great. Thank you so much for sharing that very honestly. So a couple of questions here about our semester versus our year-long experience. So we have semester students enrolled with our year-long students. They are integrated very much into the program. It's not a separate program at all. A majority of our students are full-year students. Both Lucas and Helen are year-long students, have been with us in the fall, and they will be with us through till May. It is typically a year-long program, but the semester students will come and take the same classes in the fall as the year-long students. You don't really know who's a semester and a year-long student. Everyone starts together. And then they will leave at the holidays at the end of the first semester, and our second semester students will arrive after the holiday break when our second semester starts. And they arrive, they join the year-long students, and there's an immersion and an orientation program, and they are graded by a welcome committee and toured around Viterbo. They do join an existing group of students who've been there, but they do remarkably well, making new friends. And it's often quite a little bit sad when the first semester students have to leave. I will say we've had semester students with us we're recruiting for our 5th year of semester students. And about half of those students, I find, kind of wish they'd gone for the year. They just weren't really quite comfortable making that decision. And the other half of the students were like, the semester was perfect for me. So we do encourage those who are on the fence of deciding between the full year and the semester we really encourage you to seriously consider the full year experience. I often say it's sort of the magic can happen the second semester, and I think Lucas and Helen can speak to how much they're looking forward to this spring semester, having fall semester under their belt from a language perspective, from the relationships with their friends, their teachers, and their host families. There's a lot to experience in the second semester when you've been here in the fall. But again, there are students who come for the semester and have a really, really positive experience. Lucas and Helen and even Mr. Scanlon, I don't know if you want to just share a little bit of a perspective on the semester versus the year-long experience.
It's definitely the case. I would say that students are very sad to leave at the semester. I would only add that for the purposes of securing the visa and the promises we make to our sending school, a student can't change their mind and stay longer when they have decided that maybe it's going really well and they would like to. We have to declare when the student is returning to secure the visa and then the stay permit. So that is declared early. And that also helps our sending schools know how to plan their classes back home. So that's just something to keep in mind as well. But I'll let the students comment on that as well.
The other thing I will add about semester or full year, when I was applying, especially to Italy, where there's no language requirement going in, is one of the main reasons why I'm coming here for the entire year, is so that I can really learn the language. And I think if you're only planning to come for a semester, you won't have the opportunity to really become fluent in the language. I'd say you can really only become conversational. And the only exception I found was actually my friend Amalia, who was already fluent in Greek and Spanish. So she was able to get a hold of the language very quickly. And honestly, like, I will be lucky if I'm even as good as her in Italian by the end of this. But I would say if you're questioning whether semester or full year, you really have to ask yourself what it is that you're interested in. And if you're interested in just spending a year abroad and in Italy, and it just happens to be in Italy, and you're just looking to have the travel and have the culture and the experiences, then I would say semester. But I would highly, highly, highly recommend full year if you really are interested and passionate about really learning the language and having the opportunity. And I knew when I applied here that I would only do full year, and I could not imagine having only doing a semester, because I do feel that I'm just now starting to get the hang of it. And yeah, but I think it really does just depend on what you're interested in and what you're looking to get out of the experience. And I really do think you get the most out of the experience with full year.
Well said. Thanks, Helen. We're coming up on just a few minutes before the hour, and I'm super sensitive to those who are in Italy who are staying up so late to participate. And I want to thank you again in advance. I did want to ask all of our guests, though, to just share a parting word or comments to our audience as we thank you for participating, and also thank everyone else for participating as they start to think about whether or not they're currently working on their applications or they get started on their applications, which are due February 7th. But could we ask our student guests to just share a few final words, and then the Caggianos?
Yeah, sure. So I'd say, like, if you're on the fence about whether or not you want to, like, go to Italy or send your kid to Italy, you're never ever going to regret sending them. You're never gonna regret the experience that you're gonna give your kid or you're gonna give yourself. This is truly one of a kind, once in a lifetime experience, and I couldn't recommend it more highly.
Thanks, Lucas.
Yeah, to echo Lucas, I would say the exact same thing. And I would also say kudos to you as parents for supporting your kid in their interest and even looking into SYA, because I know a lot of parents wouldn't even consider this. And I'm so extremely grateful, forever grateful to my parents for not for considering this and then actually sending me here. and having faith in me, even though this was a relatively new thing to them, and something they weren't really familiar with, and it's a completely foreign country. And my dad obviously is super worried about my safety and everything, and is sad that he can't be here to protect me and everything. But the fact that they were able to have faith in me speaks a lot. And this truly will be a life-changing experience. And I know I definitely want to study abroad when I'm in college, but it's nothing like this. You can never study, like no one studies abroad when they're in high school. It's really a once in a lifetime opportunity. And I know it's something that will stick with me for the rest of my life and will definitely shape who I am. And the other thing I wanted to talk about too, from a parent perspective, which there actually weren't any questions about it, is how this will affect college. Because that was one of my parents' main concerns, was how it would affect and the SAT and everything. And all I can say is the SYA offers multiple opportunities to take the SAT here. And if anything, I think this is helping my college application because it's going to make me stand out. And especially as it gets more and more and more and more challenging and more people apply to colleges, it is really hard to be unique in the sea of all those people. So I do think this will really help enhance my application. And I'm also taking 4 AP tests at the end of this year. So again, the rigor is there. The teaching staff is phenomenal. And I know I will like cry so many tears when I have to leave them. And my host family has been amazing. They're going to be a family for the rest of my life. So again, this experience, like just thinking about like leaving is already having me
You
in
have a
tears.
whole semester, Helen. You've got a whole semester ahead of you.
I know. But it gets my
enjoy
so
every day of it. Enjoy every day. But we appreciate you sharing the experience you've had so far. And both of you have had such genuine, real experiences. And we really, really appreciate you sharing it. Alan and Jen, any parting words for our participants today?
Sure. If you were like me, when you first heard about this program or started looking at it, you'd have a reaction that says, absolutely no way. I'm not going to send my kid 4,000 miles, to the other side of the world in a country with a language that they don't speak and that sort of thing. We had a long time to think about it and to look into it and got comfortable with it. But ultimately, what got me most comfortable about the boys going is I ended up talking to a couple of other parents of kids that went, and also to the kids that went as well. And after talking to them, I asked them just straight up if they would do it again if given the opportunity, and every single parent and student gave a resounding yes, absolutely, they would do it again. And I feel that same way now. So, I just thought I'd share that with you since it got me over the hump.
Thank you. Jen?
I would just say that I can't imagine having denied this opportunity to our boys. So, I mean, it really is how you feel about life, I guess, what you want your kids to experience growing up. And we're both just very happy that we let them go. I mean, we didn't just send one, we sent 2.
Yeah.
So,
Which is uncommon, everyone on the call. Not everyone sends 2 of their children. And we're so grateful that you shared both of them with us the same year, but it's not
Thank you.
typical. So, yeah. Mr. Scanlon, any parting words?
Thank you for considering what is in front of you. And thank you for considering the trust you will put in us. And please know that we will reciprocate and deliver on what you are looking for, because we really care about what we do. We love what we do. And I think the students today and their parents really showed that to me again. And so it's really nice for me to look kind of in the mirror with them and be reminded of what an exciting opportunity this is.
Thank you all. It is just now 10 o'clock, or my computer says it's 1 minute of, but my phone says it's 10. So have a wonderful night and a wonderful afternoon to those of you who've joined us this afternoon. We look forward to reading your applications. Deadline's February 7th. We are here in the admissions office to answer any of your questions. If you have any problems or you want to continue the conversation, we are here to talk to you. Look forward to working with you through the process. And again, thank you to our guests today. Really appreciate it. Ciao.